Happy Friday. Welcome to LIGHTBOB TV, episode 5. And today we're going to talk about the market, but specifically a trade show from attendee to main attraction. And for me, trade show has a big place in my heart because this is where I started. And for all over my career, I saw too many people in trade show go to trade show to be seen, and very few went to trade show with a strategy to win. One of my first trade show, I was in New York, and it was a light fair, and oh my God, like there was so much stuff going, and I said to myself, I got to be part of this. And going into trade show, you go with different purpose and different view. Attending a trade show is the first level, just being in the attendance and going and looking and so forth. Then you become an exhibitor, which is the next level. And if you really listen and look, the next step is to become part of an attraction. This is where the market shift, because now you are co-presenting with a company that has been trade show, and you are the same level and above everybody else because your name is everywhere. And that's why these spots are very they go very fast, because as most people treat trade show as an expense, or an opportunity to travel or social event. Because if you go to trade show in Vegas, well, the trade shows from 9 to 5, and then 5 you have dinners, and so the social life is built around the trade show, and most people, that's where it stops. Now, the other side, the other people, they see this as a market intelligence platform. So what's happening? Who's doing what? Who's in one gathering? You get to meet your competition. You got to meet your peers. You got to meet a lot of people. And those are for trade show, for the trade, but you have also other kind of trade show. It's also a place where it's I call it a deal accelerator, because you go there, you see a manufacturer you like, and they're ready to do a deal. They have a representative or they don't, and you go there and you say, okay, here you go, boom, shake hands, and then paperwork start after, and so forth. So for me, it always been a place where I went to get information, cut deal, and also to position your brand on in your area, in the stage, in as our trade lighting stage. So in lighting, where are you positioned? Are you in the back? Are you in the front? Are you with the big boys? Are you with the new technology? This is where it's happening. And I did it all. I did the whole circuit. I was in the front. I was presenter. I did all of the different posts I told you. And one thing I can say is that you can be in the back and cut the best deal. You can be in the front and people just pass by, and you can't stop anybody. So it is really, what is your strategy when you walk in? What are you going to do? What are you going to do to stop people What are you going to do when they stop? Because that's what we're going to look at. So most company, I would say 75% of the company don't have a clue. They don't have a pre-show strategy. They don't meet and they don't say, okay, this is what we're going to do. Let's drill. Let's practice. Let's prepare. Okay, you're a client. You're walking in. What are you seeing? They don't even set up their booth inside their own warehouse or garage to look at it and to show and practice what is what. You walk into their booth. You said, "Do you have literature?" Oh, one moment. They're like, "Where is the literature?" Hey, Bob, where's the literature? You know what I mean? They're not even prepared themselves, and especially when you have teams that are international or national. You know, you have a national company, and everybody gather in Vegas because we're gonna make a sales meeting and we're gonna have something else while we're there. And people walk into the booth, our own people, and they don't know where things are. Which it would have taken 5 minutes to just say, this is our booth. This is how it looks like. This is where the papers are. This is where the promo is. This is where the press kits are, etc., etc. So it's like I said, the pre-show is as important as the show, because this is where you're gonna find out where you're going and what's happening and how to prepare for it. Because if you're not prepared, you know, you just waste $10,000, 3 days, and then you'll be like, what did we get out of this? Well, we didn't get nothing. How many times did I hear that? And it's funny. Some people go there and they make they go one show a year and they make all their sales or 80% of their sales there. Why? Well, because they are organized. They're inviting their people. Their booth is arranged so they have a little, you know, place they can sit and they can talk and they can cut deals, and they have all the tools with them. They have the price list. They have their computers. They have the internet. They have printers. I mean, it is all part of the trade show. And when you think about the booth for a second, um, most people think about, oh my God, what is it going to look like? And it's nice and it's fine, but what's more important is that what's going to happen in that booth. You're renting an office space in the middle of Grand Central for 3 days. How are you gonna monetize this, right? How are you gonna make as much money as you can and as fast as possible? How are you gonna get them in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out? So again, you need to train your team. You need to have also amongst them the same message, right? Most people going to a trade show, they don't want to pay for the little scanner, or they don't have an app, or they don't take pictures. They don't have an appointment booking system. They have zero structure to follow up. I would say 98%, and I maybe more, 98% of people don't follow up after a trade show. You just spend 10,000, zero follow up. It's pretty sad. It's pretty sad. And okay, maybe you meet this client and he's really interested and you're gonna call him. But what about the 15 others that are sleepers? Maybe, you know, they were waiting for you to talk to you. They couldn't talk to you because, you know, you were busy. They came back. You're still busy. And since you don't have a structure to grab their data or book something, well, guess what? They just go, right? Um, and same thing for what's inside the product, the showcase. I will always remember one of the, because later in my career I started to design booth, and I was working for an agency, and at the time we had I think 60 or 70 lines, and we did a co-op. So who's paying for what and this and that, and then I sat down with the owner and I said, listen, I we don't need to. This is not a catalog. Okay, what we're selling is not them, it's us. So what we're going to do is we're going to have one product, the hot, the most up to date project product, and we're going to put them in a little podium, and the whole booth is going to be the name of our company. That's it. Because what we want is we want people to remember us, not the manufacturers. Because the manufacturers in our line of work at the time, as an agency, they come in and out, they roll over, you have one manufacturer after another, and I was not part of the direction, but I can tell you that every year we would have 3, 4, 5 new manufacturers, and 1 or 2 or 3 would go. So it's a rolling door. So if you only put your attention on that, then you're missing out on the contact. But if you're focusing on the people, and making sure you can service them, and maybe that product will attract their attention for the moment, but what you're building is a long life relationship. So yes, they have attention on this product. They are interested in this new feature. They're interested in these new colors and so forth. But the bottom line is that we're there to build a relationship with them for the long term. So, and the same thing when you walk the trade show. And my old mentor and I, we had man, that was even fun. We had a game. We would go each one on our side, and after we would come in the room and show what really we found special. And I would say maybe 40-50% of the time we would have the same thing, the same manufacturer, the same product. And then he would come in and he would have something and I would have something. And it became a game of who's going to find the most cutting edge or the most avant-garde or the most new thing. So that, we would know what was going on. And later I started to write for magazine, and I was already drilled. So whenever I would send my article, they would get published in a heartbeat, because all the new stuff I knew, I already had, people knew me, and it was going very fast. So when you walk a trade show, be prepared. I mean, you might take a train, you might take a plane, you might sit with somebody in the car. Take the list out of the web and make yourself a little list not without, but that you want to see. I want to see this company. I want to see this company, this company, this company. What is it going to do is that you're going to have, when you walk in and you want to see that company because they have this product or this and so forth, you'll have a different relationship with them because you already know about them. So again, if you're gonna walk, and if you're gonna spend the time, and if you're gonna rent a room, and make sure that you also prepare yourself when you walk the show, and you know what you want to do. So as an attendee, you're going to walk the floor, right? The first thing we do is we walk the floor. And the second thing that I do is that I look at the trend. Okay, this is kind of, lighting control, or the new color corrected, or the dim to warm to dim to warm, and so forth, right? So the trends. But I'm not only looking at the trend in the product, I'm looking also the trend in the booth setting. Oh, well, look at this booth. There's a lot of people. Why? It's not because the product is a rocket science product or it's a very, beautiful product. It's the way the booth is designed, the way it's positioned, how people are coming in. And there's this natural law of attraction. When somebody walks into a booth, suddenly a second person and the third and the fourth. So how do you create that? How do you stop the first person to come in, which may not be the person you want, but at least by stopping him, other people will see this and start wonder, what's the mystery behind this. And I'm very theatrical, so whenever I would meet somebody, I would show them. I said, "Look at this," and then I would make gesture, and my gesture encouraged the eyes to look, and then I would know also that other people would look, and then they would come in, and then I would start talking about a product or a service, or I would have the flyers and so forth. So the way that I work the booth is the same way that that I tell you to do, because I did it myself. And the other thing that I do when I walk the floor as an attendee is that I also network. I also say hi to all my friends first, and how you doing and so forth, because I want to make sure that they know I'm there. Even though I'm not going to stay for 3 days, even though I just want to make sure that they see me, my competitors, everybody, they know I'm there. Okay, wow. The second thing that I value when I walk the floor is the quality of education. Um, I look, what can I learn? And how each manufacturer is oriented toward teaching more than trying to sell. Because selling is easy. Teaching about your product in a 2-minute conversation requires a bit more strategy, a bit more knowledge, a bit more practice, and so forth. So this is the second thing I look the booth, look the people, look what's happening, and then I look what's the message they give me. Is this something that I'm gonna go to the next booth and still think about it, or holy shit, no, I'm not interested. So that's my viewpoint as far as walking the show. Now, as I told you, I did hundreds of show, and I did also a lot, probably near 50 to 75 show as exhibitor for myself, for other manufacturers, for association, and there is where what I value is the visibility. Make sure that there's somebody in the booth, and that somebody that it's there has a presence. That it's not just a person watching his email or his phone or looking at his watch, like when is it gonna finish? And like I said, too often I go to booth and I see this and I feel sorry for the people. And my philosophy is that if you're an exhibitor and you don't want to be there, well, pay somebody that's going to be there. And if you can't pay somebody that's going to be there and take that's going to share your message, well, then don't go. Use your money for something else, because you're not giving yourself you're not giving yourself the 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 value that you deserve. You're downsizing the perception of people of your product. The other thing I like about exhibitor is the one that have one or two product. If it's a pizza, uh, I get lost. And okay, I got it that you're a distributor, but if you have 275 lines, I don't need to see the 275 line. Again, find the product that are you know score, that are a gold medal winner, and then present those, and have a beautiful line card with all the manufacturer, or have a TV that just turns them around, or so the display of product for me is very strategical. It has to bring you in. When you have everything, well, guess what? You bring people that wants everything, and at the end they want nothing, right? And and I would say also make sure that your brand is the center of attraction, because as a visibility activity for your brand needs to be there, needs to be on the pen, needs to be on the apron, needs to be on a banner, needs to be everywhere, so that we know that we're dealing with you, right? And so that's the those two. Now, I told you that the top of the top is to be in the main attraction circle. And being in the main attraction circle is not an easy thing, because first of all you got to fight your way up, because some people have been there forever and they are, they are well positioned, and it's not always, and sometimes you're in a different country, sometimes you're in a different uh, language, so it's not always easy to get that spot. But when you do, it is the place to be. Of course, it comes with speaking engagement. It gives you a chance to demonstrate things that you don't have time, because now you have a captive audience for 1 hour, for 45 minutes, even 30 minutes. Imagine you have 2,000 people for 30 minutes. This is amazing. Or you're just doing the keynote, or you're just presenting the keynote. So you have your little, and everybody at the conference will see your product, you know, at the beginning of the show. And that's why I said, if you're prepared, if you're organized, all these people will stop by your booth because you give them a mystery sandwich. You gave them something that they said, "Oh, I want to see that," and he put, let's put it on the list. Or, Bob, what was that thing we saw at the keynote? Well, look who's presenting, and then, oh yeah, it's that company. Let's go see them. So demonstration are very powerful. Uh, you will also have what I call a educational slot. So most of the program, you can be on a panel, you can have your own education workshop and so forth, and or you'll be hosting a conversation again. you know you'll be the presenter, and you'll invite some expert on a subject, and they'll come and you'll be the host. So again, that's a very, very well positioning, and it shows the authority. Like, it shows that you're the leader in this market. It shows also that if I want to make a deal, if I want to meet who's the king honchos, well, you are part of them, and I'll go talk to you first. So now let's talk a little bit about before the show, right? We I told you about different positioning, but let's say before the clients arrive, right? So what do? Well, what kind of client we want? All the trade show, I'm not going to say most, but all the trade show have different color system, and you have clients, you have manufacturers, you have partners, and you have media. And I would say, you should have part of your team that focus on clients, another part that focus on manufacturers, and another one that on partner. And the reason why is because it none of them none of them can be neglected, and they're all part of your ecosystem. So by addressing and having somebody that's good in each of these segments, having somebody for the press is very important too. Um, that will help you to promote your brand, and make sure that everybody is looked after. And the other thing that, like, I blows my mind is that people again are going to go to trade show, they're gonna be, I would walk before, because I most of the time I have a media access, and I walk and I look at people before the show opens, and they're sitting there and they're watching their phone. Very few will do a live and say, "Hey, I'm at the light fair, and today I'm gonna go see da 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 da," or we're gonna have the keynote, presentation in an hour, and such and such, or our company is presenting the keynote, and you understand. It is for me a way to outreach your people. Oh, come and meet us. We are at booth 276. We have a coffee machine. We have some nice giveaway. We have a raffle, whatever, right? It All the occasions are amazing. And the cool thing about that is that once you put it on social media, you people that maybe forgot about the event, or holy shit, it's today, I totally forgot. Jump on a car, just go to the show. Thank you for reminding me. So the importance of it is that you don't know what the repercussion will be, but not doing it, it's going to be zero. So when I was telling you about your team inside and preparation, it's very important that everybody push the same message. We have a new product. Most of the time when I do trade show, what I tell people to do is focus on booking appointment. Yes, maybe you're interested in this product and this is very good, but let me show you live. Let me go to your office. Come to my office, or we have an event this Friday, or right after the show. You can come to our office. We have a big bands. We're gonna have raffle. We're gonna show the product. We're gonna have the representative of different company coming in and talk about it. We're gonna have distributor. Blah blah blah. This is the message, right? That will put you ahead of everybody, because everybody push in one direction. Everybody is pushing so that we're getting traffic on that product after the show. If you focus on one product, and then you're disconnecting from the purpose of the trade show. um, I talked about the roles. I talked about the positioning and the message. And for most people, the show starts at the opening of the day. Well, for me, it starts week before. A week before, I start calling, sometimes months. Sometimes I'll call the manufacturer and say, "Hey, you're going to be there. What are you going to be talking about? What should I expect?" And so forth. In the old days, I would call them and even say, "Hey, listen, I need some tickets. You guys have some tickets?" Yes, we do. I'll leave a couple tickets at the registration with your name on it, and you can come and pick them up. I want to bring a client, and I want to show them, and and not that I couldn't pay for the ticket, but it's just that I wanted to show the client how my manufacturers, or all the people, my partners that would be there, the exhibitor, would treat them. They already have, giving them something. They're already caring for their business and so forth. And also tell the exhibitor that I'm coming with somebody. It shows that I'm also committed to their product and their company. So now, that's before the show, right? And what do we do during the show? Now, during the show, again, I'll repeat and I'll never say it enough. I use show to book meetings. I use show to build relationship. But I don't have time to give my life story to everybody, right? So I will address, and I will give attention to people, but I'm always looking also who else is there, and I will say, "Sorry, can you wait a minute?" And I'll just go and I'll answer the person, and I'll invite them to go to into a meeting, and then I'll grab them and give them to do somebody else that is busy or not, and have them to continue. That way, the authority that I'm positioning myself is that, that I know I'm on top of everything, and I take advantage of everything that's flying by me. I also I also test. Sometimes I will test a message. I listen to what people say, and it works or it doesn't work. Sometimes it doesn't work. Like, well, we have a fixture that has da 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 da, or we have this service and people are walking by. And then next person, I would come and I would say, hey, what's your favorite color? What do you mean? What? What's your favorite color? And then they would start, and then I say, oh, and then engage, and then they would go like, what do you guys do, right? Or why are you asking? And then I would break up. I would bring them in present time, and then start a conversation. So it doesn't matter where your positioning of the booth are. If you're not there mentally, uh, nothing's gonna happen, right? If you don't assign team to your if you don't assign to your team different roles, it'll be the same thing. If everybody's after manufacturers and nobody's after clients, or nobody take care of the press, or nobody take care of other people, then what's happening? You know, they they don't feel like, well, we don't want to work with them, and you never know who has what. And like I said, I would most of the time I would use sample to start a conversation. See, and take it and put it in the public sense and say, what do you think of that? And then, whoa, like that. Oh, that's heavy. Or, oh, no, no, no. Or. So again, the interaction is something that you want to make sure that, you know, it's constantly flowing. Um, One place I like is I call those the those are my prime spot. Cafe, wherever there is a cafe, hallways, uh, bathroom, place where there's a high traffic area are my favorite, because you get people coming in, and they have a purpose, and when they're coming out, they have fulfilled it. So now they don't have any reason. Of course, if the guy has two trays of 10 coffee, I'm not going to chase after him. But if he comes out and he has only one, or while he's waiting, I'll engage with him for sure. So that's for me, uh, my some of the strategic area that I like to rent booth and space. So as far as the logistic, what I like is that there's in my early days, I assemble a lot of booth. Now I don't have any patience for that, and energy. I'd rather focus on what I'm there for than running at Home Depot at 2 o'clock in the afternoon in the whole in full traffic to get some you know hardware. Uh, so assembly, disassemble, storage, and all that stuff is done by a team. Then shipping, and then you have the upgrade of the booth and all that good stuff. I always make sure that my team or the client, because sometimes I work for clients and they say, Bob, can you look at it and tell us where we're going with this, or what can we add, or how can we refresh this? So for me, it is okay. Let's assemble it. Let's see. Let's look at it, and let's walk it. And what will we do this year? And do we need that big? Do we need it bigger? Do we and so forth? So it is important to have a very strict discipline and make sure that everybody know their post, and so forth. And I'm looking at my clock, and we gotta start boogie because yeah. So the one thing that I'm going to tell you that I find um, the most sad is the follow up. Like I was saying, not many people follow up, uh, and follow up should be done within 48 hours. After that, people don't recognize you; they forgot. And the only thing I do very when I get somebody else's card or when I scan or I just put hot, warm, or strategic, right? The others, okay, that the others are going into my database and they'll be part of my marketing strategy, and I'll just put them in the funnel, and maybe they will convert, maybe they will not, but at least I have, constant new contact. And then you realize, whoops, this guy moved from that company to that company. Whoops, this guy went from that company to that company. Oh, that company doesn't exist anymore. So and then I part of my funnel, I send them a personalized communication. Thank you. It was great to see you at the show. We're having an event, and I re-invite them into another event because that's it's going to be a little bit more intimate, and especially if they are in my area, then it's super easy. And if not, I tell the people in that area to create an event so that they can invite people. And sometimes it's an event that is going to be in person, sometimes going to be a webinar, sometimes going to be a demo. uh, so the trade show for me is not the event. The trade show for me is the place where I go and I get leads. The follow up is the event. So yes, I'll show you what we're doing. I'll show you our booth. I'll show you all our rep. I'll show you how big and smart we are. But the real show happened after the show, because once I invite you and I got your full attention, and then I can give you the full dissemination of our company and our product, then you're gonna get it, right? So let's talk about um, the show itself, right? Um, because the we have trade show, okay, where everybody goes, and we even have public. Some are just for trade, but we also have other opportunity, and this is where I see the where it detach itself. We may have our super duper plan for trade show, but all the rest we never plan. And everything I've been telling you about is just a protocol to get more clients. So that, let's say, now you got it, and your next trade show will probably be different. But what about when you do uh, an outdoor demonstration or an open house? Or let's say you go to job fair. Job fair are for me. I love to go to job fair, not because I need a job, but I love to see which of my competitor goes there, and who goes, and what are they bringing. And what I found out is that it's a network of people. They always do the same job fairs. They know each other's. They talk, and so it becomes again a way to disseminate about your company. Now, what I'm doing right now, these webinars and these private show, um, is and I just put you the my previous episode, is also part of a show. Is also part of dissemination. It's also part of teaching you what's going on. Um, and the last thing I would say is private events. And I say private events because sometimes I get invitation. I do very unique thing. I do glass art and all kinds of cool stuff, and people love when I bring a couple pieces of glass and a few pictures and banners. And So I get invited for opening for podcast studio. I get invited to Chamber of Commerce. I get invited to Manufacturing Association. I get invited in many different private events because of my, my uniqueness. But there is a whole ecosystem that's connected around that. And this a couple summers ago I discovered because they had outdoor fair. And outdoor fair for me was like, and I didn't get the promo. I was invite My wife took me there, and I looked and I said, oh my god, look at all these vendors. And then I see some of them have nothing to do with the team. They're just professional vendors that goes from one fair to another. So I reach out to the promoter, and then I started to ask, and then I bought a tent, and I started to go outside and talk to people and do my market survey. So there is an array of place where you can get attention. You can do market survey. You can show your product. You can practice, get some leads, and etc. etc. So this is just the tip of the iceberg, and we'll talk again about a bit more in depth about trade show, because I think there is a lot to be said, and a lot in practice. So I hope everyone is going to have a happy Easter, happy Friday today. And thank you for being there. Thank you for watching. I appreciate every minute that you spend with me. And on that, I'll see